going?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, doing very well. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. Exciting times.
No
When
worries.
next week is the new HammerFall album. Very exciting to see you guys back again with another album. It's only been 2 years since the last one came out, so you must have started writing pretty quickly then.
Yeah, I have. It's actually going to be 2.5, I think. The last album came out in 19, but in August. So, but that's the thing. In the last couple of years, I've never stopped writing really, except for during the pandemic. But we'll talk about that more later, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kept on writing through the Dominion tour and afterwards as well. So that's the first song for this that ended up on this album was begun in. I'd say on a winter holiday with my family in February of 2018. That's the first song that ended up on the album that I started. And then I was working on stuff for Dominion, really, but it just ended up here instead.
So it's been a very continuous process. Has that always been the
Yes.
way for your writing process then?
Not at all. Not at all. Last 5 years, yes, but before that, absolutely not. I had some specific ideas of how things needed to be for me to create music. Like I had to be home in my controlled environment. I also had to be not have to go on tour next week. Whatever. I just a couple of months with no. I don't have to think about anything else. That's how I thought I needed to be. But situation necessitated actually that I started writing more often, more frequently. I couldn't take 6 to 8 months of a break between touring and the next recording anymore. We couldn't do that. We were just on the road so much.
Yeah.
So I figured I could write stuff on the road maybe. So I bought a little guitar called a Traveler's guitar, which fits in my suitcase. It's brilliant. I can bring it with me everywhere I go, which means I can write music when I have the inspiration. And I feel inspiration coming. I can sit down and try to create something as opposed to waiting until I get home when the inspiration probably is gone anyway. So this has been very fruitful for me.
And where does that inspiration normally come from? Is it because of everyday life, or do you sort of have to think about it, or where does that normally sort of come from?
Just normal life. I mean, I can, like, for example, I haven't been writing any music for a while now because we're busy with a new album and stuff. But sometimes I do feel it sort of bubbling up inside that something is ready to come out. So I'm gonna, when I have the time next time, I'm gonna sit down and try to do something. It just really comes from me feeling that I'm in a good space, happy and enjoying life. Basically, that's usually what it is. And on the road when we're touring, that's another thing because we have so much dead time, like time you have to fill with something really. And I figured why not try to fill it with something positive, something creative. And what I didn't count on was the fact that being on the road, like being on tour, on stage every night, it's really that adrenaline is really a great boost for creativity. I found that it's really fantastic because you have that stuff going on all the time. It's the meeting the fans, it's just being on stage and performing and everything. It's such a rush that I was always constantly in the mood for writing stuff. Not always, of course, but more than I thought I would be anyway. So I did write Brotherhood, for example. It's written on a North American tour we did in 2018. Hammer of Dawn I wrote on the European tour we did right before the pandemic hit everything. So I had written some great stuff on the road that I'm very happy with.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff. I mean, obviously, HammerFall's been around for quite a long time, coming up to, I believe, 30 years or something like that, around about then.
Yeah, next year is 30.
Yeah, that's. Have you got anything planned for that at all, or?
Not really. I mean, you can't really plan anything for the future yet. We have to just wait and see until we get rid of this. Debacle that we're in.
Of course, yeah, fair enough. But sort of going into 30 years. I mean, does the inspiration and the creative aspect, does that become more difficult or easier as time goes on for you?
Both yes and no. I think a little bit. I still have a lot of passion, a lot of fire and a lot of stuff that I want to get out. I still feel the same way, maybe even more stronger about the music I do write. But since we have been doing this for, I mean, it's a quarter of a fucking century since we released the first album. I don't want to think about it like that, but that's the way it is. it of course it's you have to be more careful with stuff, so you don't repeat yourself, or things like that. But as far as just the inspiration, I it feels like I have many more albums inside of me that wants to come out. So it feels really, really good.
Oh, cool. And obviously the new album Hammer of Dawn coming out next week. What would you say, or how would you compare this to the previous albums? I mean, you mentioned about sort of, not trying to not repeat yourself. Going into this recording and this album, was there anything in particular that you wanted to do that you hadn't maybe done before?
Not really. I generally don't approach songwriting like that. For me, it's more I sit down and try to create songs, and then like just let the mind or the heart or the fingers dictate the pace or what comes out. And of course, once I have something, I work on that and try to fit that in here, or maybe it doesn't work, maybe it fits in here, whatever, stuff like that. But whatever is being played is it's just very organic. It just comes from inside in a lot of ways. So I don't really plan anything like that. I don't think if I sat down and thought, okay, today I'm going to write a song like this, I think it would be a shit song. It would not be very good at all. That's just the way it needs to be. It needs to come from inside.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously that's what HammerFall is known for, is that there's their signature, a trademark sound that you guys are known for, and you hear it every time you put out a new album. I mean, when I had a chance to listen to the new album the other day, I mean, the first thing I thought was, oh, this is HammerFall. It sounds exactly what HammerFall is. But it does make me wonder, like, going through and then sort of approaching that, the 3 decades kind of thing. How does this sort of creative aspect work as far as like, well, is there something that you've done before that you don't want to do? Or like you said, is it really more of an organic kind of a thing? You just sort of let it go as it comes along and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can steer it in the right direction, of course. But if I don't have the basis, like the good riffs and the great ideas to begin with, it's not going to go very well, I don't think. The thing is, I keep writing all the time. Like I said, not for a little while now because we've been busy with the album. Yeah. But I still have stuff that is going to be end up on the next album. I'm already planning for that in my head. So yeah. But the meat, of course, the most part is not done. I just have ideas and shit that's going to be on the next album. But I'm still thinking ahead a little bit, and because I don't. The thing all goes back to when we recorded Built to Last, because like I said previously, we always had a big break for songwriting, like just a block of months set aside for that, and we couldn't do that anymore. So the last show we did was in February, and then we started recording in April, I think. And I was I had worked on songs, I had stuff ready, but I wasn't where I needed to be in terms of like having to finish everything. And plus, of course, then that's the time when you have 3 or 4 half-finished songs and you have sort of a writer's block and nothing comes out. You can't really finish it. It was a really, really stressful couple of weeks for me. And I do not want to put myself in that position again. And that is the actual reason why I started writing songs on the road and stuff, and like just continuously instead of break in blocks like that. Yeah. And I like that, but yeah, it's much easier. It's nicer to have it that way, because the pressure is less as well in that way. You can work on a song for as long as you want, basically. There's not, you don't have to finish it because you got to work on the next one afterwards. You can just finish the song in the time it takes to finish it, and that's really nice.
So how do you feel about these set of songs on the new album? Not comparing it to anything that you've done before, but in 2022, how do you feel about where HammerFall stands and how you feel about these songs as they stand?
Well, I absolutely feel, which I do every album, of course, but these are some of the best songs that we've ever written. I feel that we are in a good space, really good space as a band, and just as human beings, I guess, because that's how I write we talked about before. I need to be in a good space, good headspace, content with my life to write good music. That's generally how it has been for me all my life. So that's what I try to do. So, but because of the fact that I started writing these songs, some of the songs were even written or at least begun before the Dominion album was recorded. These two, Dominion and Hammer of Dawn, they're not the same, but they go hand in hand in a way that maybe Dominion and Built to Last didn't do. I think maybe at least that's my opinion right now. The album's not out yet. It always takes a couple of years, maybe at least up to a year, for me to get some distance to everything. Just distance to kind of look at the album for what it is. But I think this is a really, really strong album. And what I like the most is that it feels very vital, like energetic. We decided because we had so much time, we wanted to really try to emphasize the performance from each band member, just to make them feel like we couldn't play live, but we wanted to try to capture as much of the live essence in the studio as much as possible, just by the performance. And I think that we have absolutely succeeded with that.
Is that something, the live aspect and having that live feel, is that something that you have striven to have before on previous albums?
Yeah, many times. It just never worked out. I think we're getting closer and closer to it now. I said a lot of the same things after Dominion, because we did get that, but I think Dominion and Hammer of Dawn it's even a step up from Dominion with in terms of that, like the energy of the performance, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it definitely has that sort of. I mean, I've never had a chance to see you guys live, unfortunately, not yet. Hopefully, in the future that'll change. Yeah. But I'm sure that it does capture you guys' sound live, because it does have that sort of really up tempo kind of energetic feel. So.
Yeah, that was absolutely part of it. Writing songs on the road because I didn't realize this until we had put together 8 or 9 songs for the album, that there's a lot of fast ones on this, more fast ones than we normally have. But I think that comes from the fact that, partly because from the fact that I have been on the road writing stuff, and because that energy and that adrenaline level it's higher than when you're sitting here in the studio, for example. For a long time, of course. So I think that helped as well.
Now, I do have to mention that you have the legendary King Diamond on this album, on one of the songs, Venerate Me. And obviously you can just spot it straight away as soon as you hear his voice, because he has that sort of very standout sort of voice, How did that whole thing come about?
So we're big fans of King Diamond or Merciful Fate as well, since the 80s, many years. I don't know how many times I've listened to all his stuff. Joachim feels the same way. He discovered them when he was really young, and so this is like an idol of ours in a lot of ways, and but I didn't really think that this was never, we didn't call him and said, hey, we got an idea, I want to do this. It was more because that was, I never would have done that. He doesn't do many of those guest appearances and stuff. But what we wanted to do, to get out of it, was to have King Diamond on a HammerFall album, just to say that, we have the legend that is King Diamond on a HammerFall album. So he's like making a cameo, I guess, but in his very, very particular way of singing, the one that we all love. So that was what we wanted, and that's exactly what we got. But I think the reason he agreed to do it in the first place is because we know him a little bit. Pontus is a he's sound engineer for live shows, for tours, and he's done King Diamond tours for several years now. So they've gotten to know each other that way. We have met him as well a couple of times on festivals, and he came to the show when we played. He came to the show and that was my first time meeting him. Actually, it was really cool. I was more like standing around listening and just taking everything in, because I'm actually standing here with King Diamond. That was a very cool experience. And he likes to talk to. He likes to talk about stuff. He's very talkative, and that was great, because there was never any uncomfortable silences. Just could stand there and listen to what he had to say. But so anyway, so he knew what HammerFall was, and because we didn't ask him to do, I think we didn't ask him to do duet. There's no lyrics. There's no nothing. We just wanted to have. We as fans wanted to have him on a HammerFall album. Just the atmosphere of King Diamond. That was basically what it was, and that's exactly what we got. Because, like you said, if you know King Diamond's voice, even if you don't know he's on this song, as soon as that part comes, wait a second,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
King Diamond, because you can hear it. And so his voice is definitely his trademark. And yeah, so I couldn't be happier than this. I mean, I want to live for a long time, but now I feel like I could die happy.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm a huge King Diamond fan as well, and it's amazing to. I mean, have you been trying to get him onto an album for a while, or?
No, it was just a spur of the moment idea.
Okay.
So what happened was, I was writing this song, and I came up to that part, and I wrote it, and I thought, this is probably how Merciful Fate and King Diamond would have done it, way back when, like if they wrote this song.
Yeah.
Didn't think more of it. And then when we recorded this part in the song, I mentioned, I said to Pontus, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if King Diamond sang this part? Like, that's never gonna happen, and then he said, well, wait a second, I can ask him. I'm sure he'll say yes if I ask him. So we called him up later that night, and next day, and said, King is in. And I couldn't believe it. It was really literally a bucket list moment.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Now onto the touring side of things, and obviously this is where I guess COVID might come into play. I believe you're going to be heading out on a tour with Halloween in March and April, I believe, across Europe.
Yeah, we are.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And the thing is, a lot of countries are opening up here, but not everything. So there's still country by country. So I don't know. And it's not our decision either. It's a Halloween tour.
Yeah.
So we kind of just go along with whatever their management decides, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, something needs to be decided fairly soon, I think, because it's starting in a month and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess it must be frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry?
It's frustrating as hell. The start and stop thing is fucking frustrating as hell. But the thing I know is, even if this tour shouldn't happen now, it's gonna happen at some point. So they're not canceling anything. They're just trying to rebook it in that case. That's what they have told us. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it happens now. If not, it's gonna happen next or later in the year probably. So.
Well, hopefully. Obviously, this has been a very interesting couple of years, and obviously, like I said, frustrating for a lot of people involved in the music industry to try and get things going. But look, fingers crossed, and look, congratulations on the new album, man. It's fantastic as always. And look, thanks for your time. And I know you were down in Australia a number of years ago. We'd love to have you back if you ever get a chance to come down here.
Yeah, I'd love to be back. Nothing in the cards at the moment, but because of things being what they are. But I really, really would like to come back. It's my only time in Australia, and 2 days is certainly not enough. So I'd love to be back for more shows. Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And and hopefully 2022 will be a great year for you.
Yeah, fingers crossed for everything. Great year for everybody, I hope.